over on its side, and you leave the hands wherever they were, because that's probably where they were when the baby was inside, in the uterus. She probably always had her hands up by her face. And then holding that blanket at the baby's back, roll them back on their back again. Now bring your hand out from the bottom, and the bottom one up, and then this one over, and the baby's nice and tight, and no matter how many times they're passed from person to person and in and out of the infant seat or in and out of the swing, the weight of the baby's body will hold it in place. And you will not end up losing and feel like you've got more blanket than baby and the feet are sticking out. They'll be nice and tight and secure. And they like that. You look at the babies in the nursery, and adults' first reaction is, why do they do that? It's so tight, and it looks a t-shirt off. Stretch. And then I'm going to leave the diaper on. And I'm going to wrap the baby up, back up in the swaddling, trying to eliminate for her the startle. And you can tell when the baby startles because the fingers go. The fingers spray. And she's startling. Now I take and either use a receiving blanket, so you can use that corner. We're going to use that corner. She loves to stretch those arms over the top of her head. Or use the baby's bath towel that's real thin that has the hood on the top. Or use a really thin bath towel. And now what I've done is wrap this baby up so nice and tight that I'm going to eliminate a lot of the crying because I've made her feel secure and tight. And I've got the hands trapped. They have a lot of lanugo hair, and with the babies with the dark hair, you notice it more. And that's the hair that runs down long on the forehead, in front of the ears, and there's probably some on the ears and back behind the ears, and all over the arms and back. And that's lanugo hair, and all washes off. Fathers don't mind if their little boys are hairy, but when their little girls are hairy, they get worried. And that's all lanugo hair and washes off. And what we're going to do is wash one corner. Use one corner of the washcloth for one eye and another corner for the other eye. That way we don't pass bacteria back and forth between the baby's eyes. If you've ever noticed a baby with a little green stuff coming out of one eye and then 2 weeks out coming out of the next, that's what's happening. It keeps being passed back and forth. So I do this, and then that way I don't forget which corner I was at. And if you start at the forehead and come down, then the baby has to close its eyes. I will use just my finger to go inside the baby's ears. And you might notice a lot of dirt coming out from the ears, slowly coming out from being inside and covered in that amniotic fluid that you'll notice over the next couple weeks. It's like, how could their ears get that dirty? And it's the stuff on the inside coming out. So but you don't want to ever put anything smaller in the baby's ears than your finger. You want to make sure that you go behind the baby's ear too. That sebum leaks behind the ears, so that if you don't get behind the ears, you'll have a crust back there. So get behind the baby's ears. There's Becky. Have a seat.
Are you taking pictures?
Back of the baby's neck by washing the head, or you can tuck them underneath your arm. It depends upon how you're comfortable. And you want to wash the baby's head. What we want to stop from forming, and you'll see start to form in probably a week, is cradle cap. And so you want to keep the baby's head washed. Every other day you wash the baby's head. And you can use your fingers, and you don't have to be worried about these soft spots. Even if the baby was bald, I would wash the head the same way. Even if it was bald and had no hair whatsoever. This soft spot closes at 12 to 18 months because the brain keeps growing for that long. There's another one right back here, but that closes right after birth, so parents aren't usually aware that there was one back there. But you wash this baby's head. And you will probably, from washing the baby's head, now I can take that corner of that baby's bath towel and use that to dry the baby's hair with, or I can take my receiving blanket corner, because that is where the heat escapes from, is the head. So I'm able to dry the baby's head before I go on. Where's their pacifier? And after they're 4 months of age, they realize that a baby crying is not them. And then that won't happen anymore. So if she starts to cry, then he would cry because he thinks he's crying anyway. Now what we're going to do is take this blanket, and a part of cord care is keeping that cord dry. Now you notice, no, I got that off. She has milia on her face. You might notice there's a really plugged pores over the nose. Looks like a cluster of little whiteheads, or little whiteheads on the baby's face or on the chest, and that's called milia. And that's mom's hormones flushing through her system. And you leave it alone and that goes away. You don't do anything about that and that goes away. That's mom's hormones. So you'll also notice on the little boy or little girl, they'll also have swollen chest because of mom's hormones. And, that helps. It's such an insatiable urge that they have to suck, they'll quit pulling at their face and their eyes if they have something to suck on. If you don't use a pacifier by the time they're 3 months of age, they'll find their thumbs, their fingers, a blanket, they'll find something. She won't let go of that tongue. She's got her tongue stuck up there. There she goes. Now she let go of the tongue. Now what I'm going to do is use this blanket to protect that umbilical cord here. The drier we keep it, the quicker it's going to be about falling off. So I'm going to take and wrap it right above her umbilicus here. So I've kept it nice and dry for her. Any excess water I use runs down and will hit a band of absorbent cotton material here instead of running down and soaking that umbilical cord. Because again, we want to keep it dry. Soap, and then another one to rinse with, and then I don't have to keep stomping through the bath and trying to rinse out my rag. I have to lift the baby up in order to get underneath the neck. What's her name?
Alexandra.
What is it?
Alexandra.
Alexandra. Are you going to call her Alex? Or are you going to
Call her Alexandra.
call her Alexandra? Some people cut them short and wait and use the longer names when they get bigger. And then I'll keep this soap rag back here, and now I'll just use my rinse rag. And I'll just use my rinse rag on her hands and arms. And then that way, I don't have to worry about her getting a soapy hand up into her mouth when she's crying. She doesn't like her bath, does she? No. It usually takes until a baby is about 3 months of age before they will grin and bear a bath and suffer through it. Okay. Now once I put the t-shirt back on and she's restricted again with the t-shirt, then the crying usually lessens. Their nails grow so fast that what they can do when they're pulling at their face and their eyes is end up scratching their eyes too. So you want to stay on top of those nails, doing them every other day, right along with the bath. Don't try to use those little clippers or the little scissors, or you're going to end up getting a piece of skin, because the nail of the bed adheres to the nail of the skin for about 4 to 6 months. So just use the white side of an emery board, not use the sandpaper side, use that buffer side. She's still bringing up mucus, and I think that's what's making her fuss every once. She'll bring a little up and then taste it and then start to fuss a little bit. Yeah. Their arms until the cord falls off. So not only are we going to keep the t-shirt rolled up and the diaper rolled below, and trying to keep it dry, we're also going to take and use rubbing alcohol. And as soon as I get this diaper changed, we have merconium. I heard her when I was rocking her, letting it go. And that merconium, that green or black stool, will stop, and then you'll have a baby yellow. Golden's mustards with seeds. Your baby, if it's breastfed, could have stools once every other day, or might have stools 10 times a day. What we're going to do is wash the lower back, and then we're going to wash the legs, and we save the genitals for last. All right, Alexandra, it won't be long. You take and wash, and every time you find that it's dirty, and with the swollen lips, you're going to be surprised how dirty she is and not look dirty. So wash between, and then if you find it's still dirty, change the spot on the wash rag, and open up the lips are swollen because of mom's hormones, and wash from the front to the back. The little boy will have a very heavy scrotum. It'll be very dark, and that's mom's hormones flushing through his system. And you'll hear fathers with their little boys going, yo, that's my son. Well, that's mom's hormones too. Is that much better now? And again, the little girl's lips are swollen because of mom's hormones. If you open up the lips, you will see a cottage cheese-like clotting between the lips, and that is vernix, leftover vernix. That's leftover when she starts to cry again. Now what we're going to do is take the diaper, and we want to put it on so that it's below the cord. Get rid of my water here. We put a little bit of Vaseline, and we don't need to use much, but between the lips and then down around the anus. That's going to make a preventive area for a diaper rash and make her much easier to clean the next time, because with that on there, it'll be very easy for you to get her clean. You're going to take the diaper, and with tension on it, you can see how high it would come up on her belly. So take and start rolling it down until you have it below her cord. Put your palm of your hand there to hold it in place. And then pull it up, and you've got it anchored. Now you can do that to the other side. That's all it is it being held tight. They're not used to being loose and being free. So you hold them tight, and then you give them back that security. Now I think she's got the hiccups. Now we do cord care, the actual use of rubbing alcohol. You want to use that, and if you didn't wash the hair, that you notice a little white stuff coming off the scalp, and you're going to look at the comb and actually think, is something coming off the comb? And that's because you never noticed that there was anything on the scalp before that. And it's usually not, and there's a big chunk, and usually you don't notice it until it starts to cover patches on the baby's skull. And then if you scratch at it with the comb, it comes off, and that's cradle cap. Then your pediatrician would probably tell you then to use Head and Shoulders. Lather up the baby's head with Head and Shoulders. While it's lathered up with that Head and Shoulders, take that comb over, and it'll all flake off. But hopefully from washing your baby's head every other day and using the comb every day to comb that baby's head for a good minute like that, and not that soft white downy brush. You need to use the comb, then you'll never